Hello, hello, hello. Sheila, how you doing? Honor, how you doing? Welcome. Appreciate it. Thank y'all for coming on. I'm about to get started in just a second. So here's how you can communicate with me. You can that Q&A box at the bottom. That's where you can ask your questions, okay? So I'm about to get started in just a second. Okay. I don't want to waste y'all's time. I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Oops. Oh. All right, cool. So first off, welcome to the Paternity University webinar. This is the third webinar. I am so excited for y'all to be on here. Hello, how you doing, Z? Appreciate you for coming on. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much. I'm glad to have y'all on. So let me go ahead and pull my screen up and get started. I see we're recording, so that's perfect. Perfect. All right. Can y'all see the screen here? Just let me know if you can see it. So you can put it in that chat. Perfect. All right, great. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so how to make $200 to $400 per test as a DNA agency owner. It is completely possible, and I will show you how, okay? So who am I? My name is Royal. I'm a co-owner with my wife, as you can see right here, of Assurance DNA, a nationwide paternity testing service based out in West Texas. We're in El Paso, Texas, okay? And of course, I'm a founder of Assurance DNA. Of Paternity University. I got my wires crossed up a little bit, okay? So that's who I am, all right? I got into the DNA testing business. My mom, she's owned one for 20 years. Last year, myself and my wife were looking for an investment and trying to do a mobile home investment, and the thing just kept falling through. So I was like, how about we take this little bit of money that we have and just start a paternity testing company? And here we are now, okay? So that's how I got into the business. Tell me why you want to get into the business. And Sheila, you're already in the business in a way. You're starting yours up. So tell me, Sheila, tell me why you wanted to start. And Z, you can tell me why you want to start a paternity testing business too. Let me know. I'm really curious to know. You can put it in the chat box. I hear a whole host of reasons as to why people want to start their paternity testing businesses. Is really interesting, from kind of dealing with something like that before, a family member, to like what Z says, another stream of income that comes with flexibility. Yeah, okay, cool. For sure. Absolutely. Yeah. So that's great. I really appreciate that. Also, Z, by the way, I'm curious to know, how'd you come across the fact that I was doing the webinar? Was it from my Twitter or my mail list? I'm just curious to know. Sheila, I thought it was unique and I was looking for a business venture to create additional income. Yeah, perfect. Dope. Okay, perfect. Cool. Okay, so what is paternity testing? Paternity testing determines a biological relationship between an alleged father and a child. Okay, so determining who the father is. That's why the word paternal or paternity, which means father, that's the root word of it. There's other ways to determine a parental relationship. You can do a grandparent test, a siblingship test, or avuncular. You see that word uncle in there, kind of. Avuncular is testing an aunt or an uncle to see if there is a possible parental relationship, between a child and that other relative. That's the other way to do it. Okay, I'm going to go into that and what that means, in the next few slides. Okay, but that's what DNA paternity testing is. That's what that is. At the root of it is testing a biological relationship between an alleged father and a child. All right. So 1 in 3 men who get a paternity test are not the father. 1 in 3 men who get a paternity test are not the father. The last time I held this webinar, I would say about 7 in 10 were the father. The test that I have done myself. Since the last time I've done this webinar, I've done more tests, and about 4 or 5 men were not the father. Okay, so I'm gonna lower that a little bit in my personal experience. Yeah, it might be like 66% for me. Okay, but there's the article that I have there linked that came out, I think, in about 2010 or so, that stated that 1 in 3 men who get a paternity test are not the father. We're not saying that 1 in 3 men are not the father in general, but 1 in 3 men who get a paternity test are not the father. So that's a kind of a scary number if you think about it. That's a little wild, So why do y'all think that is? Go ahead and tell me in the chat box. Why do y'all think that is? I'm really curious to know. I'm for sure interested in seeing what y'all are saying. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and proceed. So, and then we all let me know. So why do people get paternity tests? Okay. Why do people get paternity tests? One, they get it for peace of mind. They just want to know. All right. So it's 2 different types of paternity tests that you can get. You can get one for peace of mind, and you can get one for legal reasons. So as you can see at the bottom here, the one for legal reasons is for child support, child custody, inheritance, immigration, any type of legal purpose. That's why people get paternity tests. Okay. But sometimes they just want to know. People just want to know. Okay. That's it. They don't want to do anything for any type of legal or court purposes. But those are the 2 main reasons why people get DNA paternity tests. So, for example, if a gentleman and a woman were not married, they had a child together, and the gentleman is requesting child custody through the court, the judge will order him, first off, we have to prove that this child is yours. Okay. and you have to get a paternity test, a court admissible paternity test, and you, as the paternity testing business owner, would essentially help in that process. So those are the two reasons why people get paternity tests. So that sounds like something that's kind of always going to be around, doesn't it? You know, I don't think that's going anywhere unless they completely change the laws in all 50 states. Okay, so here's a big thing. You know, I always talk about being a DNA agency owner. Okay, what's the difference between a DNA agency owner and a collector, a DNA collector? So I have a free ebook that goes into what a DNA collector is. Okay, it's a free ebook that you can get. So a collector only collects samples. They don't own their own DNA testing agency business. Okay, so they really just get calls from DNA agencies when the agency can't do a test themselves, or if they need to do the agency wants to do a mobile test, they may call an individual collector to go do it on their behalf, and they'll pay that collector, you know, via check or Zelle or something like that. The collector is not an employee or anything like that. The collector just collects on people's behalf. Okay. A collector would get, partnered with the lab, not really necessarily partnered with the lab, but they will sign up with the lab, a DNA laboratory. Okay. The people, the labs that do the actual testing, to become a collector. Okay. And sometimes that lab themselves may call the collector. And then sometimes the actual DNA business owner may call a collector to do a collection for them. Collectors on the low end, they get paid about $25 to do a collection. On the high end, if they're an independent collector that's in demand and you know how to market your services, you can get paid $100 something. I connected my mother's DNA testing company to a woman on Twitter who collected for my mother. So for example, my mother is in Atlanta. The collector was in San Diego. The test was in San Diego. The woman collected on my mom's behalf. My mom paid that woman $150 to do it. That doesn't always happen, by the way, but it can be done. All right. So in a DNA agency owner is partnered with a DNA laboratory. So the laboratory is, are the business that has hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars of scientific equipment to actually test DNA samples and, give the results. Okay. You're not going to have that because you don't have $850 million to start a DNA lab. Okay. You don't have that. Okay. So an agency owner is a corporate partner or a distributor or a reseller. Those are the words that are used, that partners with the DNA lab. Now, when you're an agency owner, you own your own business. That's it. You do the testing, you do the actual swabbing, and you send the samples into the laboratory for testing. But, the lab doesn't limit you on how you can advertise, as long as you don't say that you are an accredited laboratory, because they are an accredited laboratory. You're not, but you're the middleman. You're the person in between. You do the testing, you start your own business, and you can scale and outsource and build your business and market your business as you see fit. You can do whatever you want. It's your business. Nobody's stopping you. Okay. Unless you buy into a franchise, then you have to follow some steps. But if you start your own independent DNA private laboratory, private DNA agency, you are in charge of your own destiny. Okay. And there's no limit on the business income. There's none. You can build it. You can build it to be a $10 million a year business. You can keep it to where you just make an extra $1,000 a month. Is your choice. It's whatever you want to do. Okay. Anybody have any questions? Anybody got any questions? Z, Sheila, you got any questions? Let me know. I'm hoping I'm not going too fast. Not yet. Okay, cool. Okay. All right. What do you need to start a DNA agency? What do you need to start a DNA agency? Okay. At the very basics, if you want to handle your business. Okay. So, by the way, I should have said this in the beginning. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an accountant. Okay. So I'm not giving legal advice on, paternity testing cases or divorce or child custody. I'm not giving that. Okay. I'm just the middleman and facilitator of DNA testing. I'm also not a tax accountant or anything of that nature. Okay. So, when I get into talking about incorporating your business, that's why I say check your state secretary of state website for info. You incorporate your business how you see fit. Okay. I'm not going to tell you to get an LLC or a C Corp, an S Corp, or whatever. I'm not going to say that. All right. All right. So to start, okay, go ahead and pick a name. Think of a name. Think of something Googleable, or you can think of something, cute. Like I said, one of my students in Paternity University named her business Clarity DNA Services, which I think is amazing. That is awesome, but don't rack your brain for 8 weeks on a name. Pick something. What city are you in? Pick something from there. Okay. If you're in Austin Paternity Testing Service, Sacramento DNA Services, whatever, pick something. Okay. Incorporate your business. Like I said, I won't get into how you should incorporate your business, but incorporate your business. That gives you legitimacy. You don't want to be a sole proprietor, but incorporate your business. Okay. Get your EIN for free from irs.gov. Okay. That is your employer identification number. You need that. That's like your business's social security number. You can get that before you actually incorporate it. That takes like 7 minutes. Okay. And then of course, set up your business bank account. The one advice I would say, like I said, I'm not an accountant, but you still want to keep everything separate. You don't want to commingle any funds. You don't want to commingle your personal funds with your business funds. Okay. So that's the very, 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 very basics. Okay. All right. Now, and this is all in the course, by the way. This is from the course. I'm not giving you all the game, but this is in the course. I go deeper into it. All right. So you want to buy your domain name. Okay. You can buy a domain name on Squarespace, GoDaddy, wherever, Google domains. I think you can buy a domain name there. Okay. Do your research on the labs to partner with. I let you guys know generally what labs to partner with. I go deeper into it in the course, so you'll get that information. You'll contact that lab and apply to be a distributor or a reseller. Okay. When you contact them, and in the course, I tell you exactly. I give you a lane of who to contact. You don't have to contact that lab, but I basically streamline the process for you. Okay. You're going to sign the lab partnership contract. They're going to send that to you via email. Okay. Now, by the way, this is sort of kind of in order, but there are some things that you can do at the same time. Okay. This is not in chronological order. You can do some of these things concurrently. Set up your professional email. So you can get that on Google G Suite. You can do that through Squarespace. It's super easy. So you don't want to be Leroy Jenkins DNA at gmail.com. You want to be, like I said, Sacramento DNA Services at, or John or Z at SacramentoDNAServices.com. Okay, professional. Set up your Google Voice to separate business phone line. All right. You don't want to have them folks calling your personal number. I don't want that. All right. Get your logo from Fiverr or any graphic designer. It's a simple logo. You don't spend a year and a half on a logo. Okay. It does not need to be extremely fancy. Standard industry colors generally are blue, purple, green, kind of along like the DNA helix type of colors. Okay. And then you want to set up your invoicing ability. So that's your Square or Stripe account or QuickBooks. You can invoice via QuickBooks too. Okay. But set up your invoicing. You want to be able to charge your clients. Okay. So Square Appointment, Stripe, QuickBooks. Those are the ways to invoice your clients. Okay. So you can get paid. You want to get paid, don't you? All right. So what labs can you partner with? There's about 40 AABB accredited laboratories in the world. DNA Diagnostic Center is pretty much the biggest lab in the world. They're pretty solid. LabCorp is another big lab. Universal Forensics is great. Ravgen is awesome. I love working with Ravgen. And there's more. Where do you get that more? Where do you find out that more? It's in the course. All right. Researching the competition. All right. I go deeper in this in the course, but here's the top 5 questions that you can ask. So what you want to do is in your area, you want to search paternity testing services on Google or DNA testing, or search like you're an actual client looking for a DNA test. Put in DNA test near me. How much does the DNA test cost? Paternity testing. Now, by the way, quick caveat. There is a difference between like genealogical ancestral DNA testing and paternity testing. Genealogical ancestry related testing is like 23andMe. That's finding out what your lineage is. Okay. Paternity testing is finding out who your father is or who the father is. Okay. So DNA paternity testing, DNA testing is kind of used interchangeably, but just this is for your knowledge. So when you search, it's going to be a bunch of there's going to be places that pull up. All right. And these are the questions you want to ask. How many Google reviews do they have? You know, how many written reviews do they have? What's their stars like? You know, call them up, ask them, do they offer mobile services? Or do they only have a building you can walk into? A huge thing. Are they open on weekends? Most DNA companies are not open on weekends. Guess what? That's how you win. Be open on weekends. All right. That doesn't mean that you have to buy a building or lease a building and sit in your building all day on weekends. That just means your phone needs to be on to answer calls, because you could set yourself apart by being open on weekends and offering mobile DNA testing services, which I get into in the course on how to do that. All right. What lab are they using? You can ask them what lab they're using. You know, is the lab AABB accredited? Or does it have an accreditation? It's not, it doesn't have to only be AABB accredited. There's other accreditations, CAP accreditation. There's other accreditations that they have, but what accreditations? Ask them. And then what's their prices, of course? What are your prices for DNA testing? You know, how much are you guys charging for a standard trio paternity test? You'll learn all this language. I talk about it in the course. Standard trio, motherless, prenatal paternity testing, grandparenting, siblingship, avuncular. How much do you charge? What are you charging? That's how you research the competition. That's how you build your business plan, pretty much, on how you're going to do things. All right. How much can I charge for a DNA test? All right. It depends on the service you're offering and the competitors in your area. Standard legal, like I said, a legal court admissible paternity test generally ranges between $300 and $500. I did a DNA. I did not do the DNA test. My wife did. My wife is my partner, like I said. So she did a DNA test today. And we charge $300 for that person. Okay. We profit after the lab fees. Let me go ahead and do math in public. Yeah, $174 is our profit after the lab fees. Okay. Which I talk about in the course. Informational, so non-legal, just peace of mind, what you want to know. You know, that's the price, $200 and $250. That's how much you can charge. Okay. Non-invasive prenatal, that means the mother is pregnant and it's a blood draw from the arm and a mouth swab for the alleged father. Okay. You can charge between $1,200 and $1,800 for that, depending on where you're at. That's why you do that market research. So as you can see, those prices, that's how much you can charge. That's your gross. Now, most labs, most, if not all labs, what they do is they send you the materials for the test. Okay. They send you the kits. Actually, let me do something real quick. Let me see something real quick. Okay. So y'all can see me. This is what I got my blur on, so bear with me. This is what a DNA testing kit looks like. Okay. Y'all see me? Okay, you can, oh, you can't see me. Okay, hold on real quick. Give me a second. Okay. Y'all see me now? I know my camera's a little funky, but can y'all see me now? Okay, cool. So this is what an actual DNA test kit looks like. This is it right here. I have my blur on because I don't want y'all seeing my whole room like that. Lord, this is horrible. I'm so sorry. All right, it looks like a bunch of papers and swabs in a plastic bag. Okay, most labs will send that to you basically for no upfront cost. Okay, that is what they do. They will send that to you for no upfront cost. This is the game I'm giving you. Okay, what they do is they charge you on the back end. So when you do the actual test and you swab the actual person, the client, and you send it into the lab, and the lab receives it, they would bill you for running the samples. Pretty much, that's what they do. Okay, let me go ahead and share my screen again. Back on this. Okay, let me stop my video. All right, so that's what they do. So they don't charge you up front. So you can order, once you become a partner with the laboratory, you can order the kits and they don't charge you up front for it. Okay, they charge you on the back end. So that lowers your startup costs for this DNA testing business. Okay, coming to an end. Here's the most important aspect of starting this business. Patience, 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 patience. It takes time. It takes time to hit your stride. You know, you're gonna try all different types of marketing strategies and all different types of stuff, but patience, 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 patience. That is your key. Okay. The whole beauty of Paternity University is that there is a community. Sheila can talk on that. There is a Slack channel that we have where we communicate. You know, we talk pretty much every day. Okay, we give tips, we cheer each other on. People share their journeys of how they're starting their business. Exactly. Yeah. That's the key. Okay, we have a whole Slack channel. Patience. Okay, you will get to learn, you know, your area, because every area is a little bit different. You get to learn, you know, finally when you start getting calls, you get to know what your clients want. We have it to a science now. We get it. You know, when people call, we tell them, you know, here's what you need. Boom, 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 boom. How can we help you? But at first, I would tell you a story. Let me cut my dog camera back on, because this is about it right here. Okay, we're gonna get into questions after this. So let me go ahead and start my video and stop sharing here. Let's see. Bear with me for a second, y'all. Okay, so yeah, you know, when I got my very first client ever, you know, it was rough. It was rough having that first conversation. It was a little rough, but I made it happen. And you learn over time, over months, over a year. You learn how your rhythm and how to speak to clients, and, you know, proper advertising and how to speak to people, and, you know, meeting lawyers and stuff like that. You learn. It takes time. Okay, it takes patience. So does anybody, Sheila or Z, you have any questions about this business? Any questions, concerns? Feel free to ask me any question you want. I don't really do these webinars too much. So Sheila says, yes, we talk about our different experiences, give each other kudos when they reach a milestone, as they begin the setup process, and learning from each other as they done their first, as they test their first client. Absolutely, that's what we do. We have a couple students that have gotten their first clients. Adonis is for sure. He's done at least two for sure. And he talks about that. Like, hey, I did my first test. I was nervous, but the process, it doesn't take that long. It takes 15 minutes. I mean, you know, hey, I made $350 in revenue in 15 minutes. And then, you know, minus the testing fees, but still you're making $220 something profit, and you didn't have to break a sweat, or you didn't have to run around, or, you know, that's it. You just swapped somebody and gave them their answer. So does anybody else have any other questions? Z, do you have any questions or concerns? Yeah, go ahead and type it in whenever you're ready. I will definitely say, what's the difference between non-chain and chain? Yeah. Non-chain of custody means a peace of mind test. Okay. Non-chain of custody means peace of mind test. So they just want to know how that works is you send them the kit, or they can come pick up the kit from your office. Okay. And they test themselves. Okay. And the reason why it's peace of mind, or is not court admissible, is because they test themselves, they swab themselves. And so, you know, if it ever came down to where the court needed to get involved, there's no official record of who did what. Okay. And it's not court admissible. Now, a chain of custody or chain test, chain of custody, means that it is a very specific document, and I show exactly what it is in the course, that you have to fill out and document who tested, name, birth date, you know, address, government ID, taking a picture of that individual, And a chain of custody test is a third party person does the test. They do the swabbing. That's you. That would be you. That would be me or my wife or you or Sheila. Okay. You would do the test. Okay. The person that you sell the test to does not do the test. You do it. Okay. They never touch the test. All right. So you swab them, you do the paperwork. They sign, say, yeah, I took it on this day. And you send the samples off to the lab. The lab sends you the results that you give to the client. Okay. So that if you ever go to court and SHIT ever hits the fan, okay, you have documentation saying, hey, I did this test on this day with this person. Here's their signature. Here's their ID. Here's their picture. So they can never say, oh, I never did a DNA test ever with that person. I don't know who that is. Or somebody forged my signature. No, you didn't. You did it on this day. Okay, so that's the difference between the two. And you charge more. Like I said, you charge $300 to $500 depending on your area for a chain of custody test, and $200 to $250 for a non-chain of custody test. Okay, does that answer your question? You say, okay, got it. You said in the chat, but the turnaround is 7 days when the fee schedule says 2. The turnaround is 7 days, but the fee schedule says 2. Yeah, so I did 7 days as an overview, more for the prenatals. Okay, so the prenatals is a 7-day business turnaround. For the chain or non-chain is generally 2. Yeah, so I had that just as an overview. And you also kind of want to give a little bit more of a window of time sometimes, because sometimes the labs are a little bit backed up. What do you tell the client? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I under promise, over deliver. So I say, hey, you'll get your results in 3 to 5 business days, right? That's what I say. Exactly. That's exactly what I say. 3 to 5-ish. Okay. And then they'll say, okay, cool. And then when they get in 2 days, they're like, oh, snap, that was fast. Yeah, exactly. That's what I do. That's what Assurance DNA does. Okay. But for prenatals, I say 7 business days. That's generally the time frame. It is about 5 to 7 business days for prenatals, depending on the type of test that you get, okay, or the lab that you go with, okay. Sheila says, I'm currently working with design on Fiverr, and I've already received my partnership. Oh, Sheila, oh, great. You signed it? You signed your partnership already with DDC? Great. And Z, yes. Oh, I know who this is. I know. Oh, I got it. Yeah, this is Zariah, I think. Yeah. Oh, who is Z? Okay. Yeah. So RavGen is another lab. They were actually the first lab that they claimed to do prenatal paternity testing. Okay. And so they offer 2 options. You can do a prenatal test with them they can give results on the first tier, and it does it in 20 days or 21 business days. Okay. That's a little too long for most folks. All right. But RavGen only charges you as a DNA agency owner $850 to do that, as opposed to the other lab, DDC, they charge $1,200 to process the results. So as you can see, the profitability is higher, but the results take longer. However, RavGen offers another option to where you can get results. Your client can get results in 7 business days. So they would charge you as the agency owner another $200 on top of that. So it's $1,050. Okay. Still cheaper than DDC's option. So you can use you have a choice of multiple labs to do the prenatal testing. Okay. It just depends on how you'd like to work with DDC or RavGen or whatever other lab is your choice. I'm not telling you who to work with. Okay. So how often do you do the other types of testing? I really just focus on the paternity. I haven't really done PET or skin or anything like that yet. I haven't marketed towards that yet. And I also haven't gotten any calls about that whatsoever. Any call I get is for paternity testing. They don't, but like I said, I have not marketed for allergy or PET or skin. I personally want to hyper focus on paternity, but that could be an area to explore. Yep. Okay, I don't see infidelity fee schedule. Yeah, infidelity fee is weird. It doesn't say infidelity, it says DNA comparison on the fee schedule. So it'll be DNA comparison and like sperm detection. So it's a combination of sperm detection and DNA comparison. What they do is when yeah, exactly. You see it exactly. So let's say, for example, guy calls in and says, I think my wife's cheating on me. I have an article of clothing with possibly somebody else's sperm on it. They will cut you. You will send them a non-legal test kit. Okay. They will cut that article of clothing, put it inside the kit, and they would send it to the laboratory. Okay. And then what you'll run it as a sperm detection. Okay. So the lab would test the piece of clothing or whatever. I'm sorry, y'all. The lab would test a piece of clothing or whatever article it is. It is messy business. They will test it first to detect if it's sperm on it. Then they will compare the DNA because the person would have swabbed their mouth and put it in that kit and sent it off. Okay. So it's sperm detection and then DNA comparison. So it's two different fees. So what you want to do is when somebody asks you for something like that for an infidelity test, charge them like $400. All right, because DDC will charge you like $218 or something like that total. Okay, so yeah, that's the game. That's the game on that one. Yeah, it is messy business. I've gotten a couple calls about that. I think my girl's cheating on me. I got a cotton swab with some sperm on it and all that other stuff. And I'm like, all right, cool, man. Well, it's $400 if you want to know for sure. You know what I'm saying? And it's rough. Cheater show in real life. Yeah, it's you get all types of stuff. It says 95 fee on there on here. Okay, I have to look at your fee schedule. I don't know exactly what they're charging. I know they do different fee schedules for people with different I guess different areas or different sales expectations or whatnot. So, all right, are you talking DDC or are you talking Ravgen? Z DDC. Okay. Yeah. Take screenshot your fee schedule and share it in the chat because I'd be curious to see. I think and are you talking 95 for sperm detection or 95 for DNA comparison? Yeah, I'm curious. I'm curious to know that. I mean, I know they like I said, they charge me 126 for a standard trio paternity test, but they might charge somebody else like 130 or 135 or something like that. It just depends on your relationship and how many sales you do. And then after a while, you can request, hey, can you lower the price on my fees because I am making a lot of sales? And they'll be like, yeah, sure, or no. It doesn't hurt to ask. Yeah. All right. So here's another thing is you're gonna get people that's gonna call in and say, I want to test hair or nails. That's called unusual sample. Or like hair or nails, right? People ask that from time to time because they don't want to ask or bring up that conversation of I need a paternity test. All right, I want to do a paternity test. Or they want to test the little kid or something like that in private, in secret or whatever, which is that's their prerogative. They can do that. They can do whatever they want. All right. You just provide them the test that they want based on what they're asking. So how to do hair and nails is they have to get at least 10 strands of hair from the root of the head, which that's going to be pretty difficult to do in secret, right? So, there's that. They can do nails, but it has to be at least 5 to 7 nails, okay? Like nail clippings, okay? They can do that as well. People can try to send in toothbrushes, but usually for the best levels of DNA detection, it's the mouth swab, and then it's nails, and then it's hair, and then it's anything after like toothbrush or whatever, like tissue with some snot in it or something. It's people do that stuff all the time. Okay. And so how DDC or the labs will charge you is first, they will run a DNA test they'll run a DNA viability test on the nails or the hair or the unusual sample that you've provided to see if there's enough DNA first to even test. Then if it is enough, they will determine that it's viable. And then from there, they will compare the DNA between the person that they swabbed, the person that swabbed and sent in their samples, and the unusual sample. Okay, those are not court admissible, by the way. That's just a secret test, and that's just for them to want to know. But usually the best test is do the swab, But if people are hell bent on that, charge them $379, $400 for something like that. You know what I mean? So that's some information on that. Yeah, y'all got any other questions about anything else? I know y'all do. You'll be asking me some really good questions. Yeah, of course don't accept. They don't. Courts don't accept it. I know it has chain on there, but no, courts don't accept that. No. Yeah, I know. They're not going to accept that. It has to be done by a third party collector, non-interested individuals such as you. And I tell them that too. They're like, "Hey, can I use?" No, you can't. Just got it. If you want to use it in court, I gotta get involved. Like, oh, I don't want to do that. All right, well, hey, this is for your peace of mind only, sir or ma'am. No, I haven't. I haven't done lifestyle testing. So no, I haven't done pet or allergies or anything like that. I haven't done that. I haven't marketed it. That's just something I haven't marketed. You can try it. Is like I said, is your business and you can try it. Immigration, yeah, that's a good question. So the US government does not want private DNA agents to do immigration tests. They've stopped that a couple of years ago. Okay. So for immigration, the way to do that is you basically just refer, like if you ever get a call for immigration, and you have somebody who is trying to bring a child over from another country, you basically would get their information and you would get it to the lab, and the lab would orchestrate that, because the government only wants the actual laboratories to do that test, because it's a lot of coordination between US embassies, all that stuff. It's a different process. And then the lab would just give you a referral fee. They'll give you like $100 or something like that, right? You used to be able to charge like $800, $900, $1,000 to do an immigration test, but not anymore. They don't allow it. So you just get that information off to the sales rep or your account manager. Say, hey, this is an immigration test. Is this, and that? And they'll say, okay, great. And if the person actually goes through with the test, you'll get a referral fee from the lab. They'll probably send you like a check or something like a month and a half later, So yeah, it's just part of that's just what it is for now. Oh yeah, great question, Zariah. Absolutely. Can you talk about the process of testing someone not in your state? Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. So this is part of the out processing. The outsourcing portion of doing a DNA test. So perfect example. Okay. I had a gentleman who was a truck driver who was in Florida. He called me and said, hey, I want to do a paternity test, but the mother and the child are in another state. Let's just say they're in Virginia. Okay. So he's in Florida. They're in Virginia. I'm in Texas. Right. So there's two ways you can do it. I'm gonna give you the easiest way to do it, the easy button. All right. So what you'll do is say, okay, great, sir. What I'll do is I'm going to send you to one of the facilities that we are partnered with. That's generally what you say. Hey, I'm going to send you to a facility that will collect on our behalf. Okay. They'll say, okay, cool, fine. All right. You take that individual's payment, you invoice them or take their payment over the phone. And then what you do is you send them to any lab test now. That's the easy button. Okay. Any lab test now. Why do I say that? Any lab test now has franchise locations all over the country. Okay. They do DNA testing, drug testing, lifestyle testing, blood testing, all that stuff. They do everything. Okay. And since they're a franchise, they have a very specific set of procedures that they have to do, okay, to do DNA tests. So it's the same process across every single any lab test in America because they're a franchise. They follow the same process. And they're already partnered with DDC. So they already have DNA kits on hand. You don't have to overnight them a kit. Okay. So what you'll do is you'll say, hey, sir, what time would you like to do this appointment? This time, what time would you like to go in? This time, etc. You send them an invoice, they pay. Okay. Then you just call up any lab in their area. Okay. You just Google it. Usually there's an any lab in that area. Okay. 95% of the time. And you say, hey, I got a client. I am so-and-so with Assurance DNA. I have a client who wants to do a paternity test on this day. I am outsourcing the testing to you all. It's my client. They have already paid me. Do you have any openings? Any lab test now, that's their whole thing. You can generally walk into any lab test now, anytime you get a paternity test in 15 minutes. So you don't really have to set strict appointment times, but they can just say, yeah, cool, let them come in. Okay. Then what you'll do is you'll send that client the information. Hey, you're going to go here at this, whenever time that you want to go in. Okay. Bring your ID, have the child with you. If you're not going to have the child with you and the mother's going to bring the child in another time, that's fine. They can do that on different days. Okay. Or different times during the day. Okay, fine. And then you email that any lab test now location, all the information. So you'll email them the case number, which I show in the newest module in the course, how to create a case number. You email the case number, the name, and the time and the date that they want to come in. Okay. Hey, any lab test now. Here are the clients that I said they're going to come in on this day, generally around this time for this type of test. This is the case number. Send it to DDC. And they'll go in there. Yeah, they will go in there. The client will walk in. They'll say, hey, Assurance DNA sent me here, or whoever. And the person will look them up in the email. Yep, that's them. Cool. They'll test them. Any lab test now will send the samples off to DDC. They already have all the materials. They know how to do it. And then DDC will receive it, and DDC will test it, and then they'll release the results to you, and you give the results to the client. That's how you do it in another state. That's the easy way. Okay, I know that sounded like a lot, but that's the easy way to do it. Yeah, good question. So any lab will charge you a collection fee to collect. Okay, so what Z just asked is, so you're paying any lab test? Yeah, any lab will send you an invoice after the test is over for like 25 or 40 bucks for a collection fee. That's it. So you send the clients there, any lab test them, and then any lab will send you an invoice, most likely through QuickBooks, for like 25, 40 bucks, 50 bucks, 50 bucks, like max for that. Okay. And they also do prenatal paternity tests, because usually all the people that work there are licensed phlebotomists. They're licensed to draw blood. Okay. Because they also do blood tests there too. So you can do the prenatal paternity test too. Okay, you can send them there. So it's pretty easy. All right, it's a relatively easy process. I've used any lab. I've used a couple other places that were in the DDC portal, and they like forgot to. One place pissed me off, and I basically was like, I'm no longer working with y'all. They forgot to do the doggone chain of custody. They didn't do it. They were like, oh, we didn't see it in your kit, which is weird because every kit comes with a chain of custody. And so we just decided not to do the chain of custody and sent in the samples. But my client wanted a legal test, right? So what happens in that case? Well, they had to get recollected, because you can't just make up another chain of custody on the dot and just email it to them and have them DocuSign it. No, they have to sign it in person there at that moment. So I basically fired them, or wasn't partnered with them, and I just sent them to an any lab who did it right. They do it right all the time. My advice: use any lab test now. Okay, if there is not an any lab test now in that location, use the portal in DDC's portal and look up another collection agency and call them and ask them their process. So does that answer your question? Yeah, it looks like it does. Okay, perfect. Y'all got any other questions? What? So, okay. I'm waiting for you to type Z. I might bring my wife in. Y'all can ask her some questions. The truck driver. No, the truck driver was by himself in a whole other state. The mother brought the child to another any lab test in the other state. So I used two any labs, one in Florida, one in Virginia, right, to do that test. So I coordinated with both any labs and the alleged father. Okay. And all I did was provide the same case number to both any lab. So you provide that case number. That case number lets any lab, well, not any, well, it lets any lab and DDC know, oh, this is the same case. They go together. Okay. So I create the case number, boom, boom, send them to both, boom. Hey, there's the times, boom, test, boom. That's how that works. It's really, and like I said, I never met them, and I made like $350 something off of that. Never met them, never had to swab them. Do guys results in 2 days. Have I ever? No, I have not. I have not had to do a court appearance yet. Not yet. No. Nope. But that's why I make sure everything is 100% squared away. That chain of custody is done right. Pictures are taken. I take pictures of their IDs. I don't play around. There's records of everything, email records. I take pics. I have everything backed up. All right. Everything is there just in case. 350 father, 350 child. No, it was 350 for the whole test. For like, it was father and the child. Yeah, it was father and the child. The mother just brought the child in. She never tested. But what I do charge, I charge an additional $100 per child, though. So if a father wants to test multiple children, I'll charge an additional $100 per child. And that could vary. Some places charge 75, some places charge 150. It just depends on kind of where you're at. Yeah, I do. Yeah, it depends on how far I'm going. So I do a lot of my tests. Yeah, it was the same test, Z. It was the same test. Hold on, give me just a second. All right. Anyway, so I charge an additional over fee if I have to go past about 20 miles. I haven't had to do that. I'll give you a lesson. I'll give you an L. Not really an L, but my first ever legal test that I did, the lady, I worked with her. I was so excited to do a test finally, and she wanted to do a test like an hour away, basically, right? Like 55 miles away. And I only charged her an additional $20 or something like that to do a test because I was just so excited to finally do a test. Hell no. If it's more than like 10 miles or 5 miles or whatever, however dense your city is, you have to leave farther than you feel comfortable. Charge them $50, $100, charge them. Like, I don't even go to people's houses no more. I am not going to your house. I've gone to a house before. I did not feel comfortable. Charge them. If they are dead set on you coming to the house, sir, that's going to be an additional $150 fee. Oh man, that's a lot of money. I'll just come to your office. Exactly. Come to my office where there's a common space. I'm not disappearing anytime soon. Or you have that thing on you. That's what I do. So yeah, to answer your question, normally where I do my mobile test now, I don't charge an additional fee because it's pretty close to my house. It's like 10 minutes away, so I don't charge an additional fee for that. But if they want me to come all the way out to like the other side of town or something, I'm gonna charge them. I got any other questions? So where do you set up the virtual address? So here's what I did. Like I said, you don't have to do what I did. This is what I did. You can do what you please. Okay. My virtual address is set up with Regis. Regis. So it's where I have an actual PO box. I have an actual PO box where my actual mail gets sent, and then I have an actual virtual address or whatever with Regis. I might need to consolidate that. But I Regis was cool with me using the building on Google My Business, which is like critically important. Okay. That's how people find you a lot faster when you actually use an actual like business address on Google My Business. Trust me. Trust me. Okay. I have an account with them. So whenever I need to act, for example, perfect example. Today, my wife did a test. We have a free account with Regis. We've talked to the front office ladies and everything. They're like, hey, yeah, you got a free account. Cool. Whenever you need to actually use the office, you just pay $25 in our app and you can use the actual office. So I use that. That's what I do. It is because, I asked them, I was like, hey, do I have to get a lease here? They're like, no, you just pay by the hour. It's like $25. I'm like, man, that's dope. So you don't have to actually get a lease or pay for a virtual office, because the virtual office with Regis is like $70 a month. I was paying that. Trust me, I was paying that for like 3 months. And I wasn't I wasn't even using that address on Google My Business. I was using my home address, and Google hides the home address so people don't show up to your house. But it's harder for people to find you on Google. Trust me when I say, if you use a service area, it's harder for people to find you. Is that a reason for going? Yeah, that was my reason for going with them. Yes, that is. Mm-hmm. So, like I said, it's easier to use kind of like a co-working space. Google's like I said, I hope nobody cancels me for this or anything or whatever. Google doesn't like that you use that. They don't like that, but you got to get it how you live. Okay. And even if you did, also too, like if you actually had an actual lease with Regis or a co-working space, you would put that address on Google My Business. Like in office buildings, there are lawyers or whoever, right? There's other businesses and they use that office's building as the address on Google. It gets you verified faster and people find you faster. Trust me. If it's not Regis, find another co-working space in your city. There has to be at least some other co-working space or office building or something. Ask if they can charge by the hour. I don't know if other co-working spaces do that anymore or do that, but Regis pivoted during COVID because a lot of companies were cutting their leases because they couldn't afford paying $400 a month when they weren't getting any customers. So what Regis did was say, hey, we have an app and you can set up a time and date where you can pay for an office by the hour, $25-$30. You use it. So people come to the Regis building, to the office, and think that my mom is going to create a space in her salon by adding a wall and hopefully, hey, look, that sounds as long as people have privacy, you can go in and they don't want to be seen. If you have another interest, something like, y'all work that how y'all want to work that. People do want to feel as though they have privacy though. Okay. Yeah. As long as you got a door that can close or something like that, and nobody can see in. Hey, cool. You know what I mean? Do what you do. You got to innovate, and don't destroy your revenue by, renting. I'll tell you a story, real quick story. And it's, my mom, like I said, she's owned the DNA testing business for 20 years. And she was basically only doing mobile testing for the first 10 or 12 years or so. Okay. She was doing mobile testing. She was going to people's homes, or she was meeting them at the hospital or something like that, or a lawyer's office or whatever. So she decided in 2013, this is before like co-working spaces got big. She leased a building. She leased an actual office. Okay. And she said she put a sign on it. It was awesome. It was beautiful, and we were so proud of her. But guess what? Within maybe 4 to 6 months, she almost went out of business because the overhead was so high. It was like $1,600 a month. It was more than her mortgage to rent. Plus she had a mortgage. Okay. So if you got the money to get your own building, if you have it, by any means, get it. but you don't have to have that. Plus, people are not gonna people. It's like psychologically, folks maybe don't want to walk into a big old building that says paternity testing. They don't want to be seen walking in there. They will go into an office building with all little tiny little rooms that barely have anything there because they want to be inconspicuous. Okay, so if you don't need to get a lease, you don't have to do that. At least with Regis. Now, like I said, other co-working spaces, I don't know, but you don't have to. You can pay by the hour. Trust me. Look, we set up a test with our phone in the Regis app. Boom. Hey, we need the room for this hour to this hour. Pay $25. Done. Person comes in, they get the swab. We're done in 15 minutes. We're out. Say bye-bye to the receptionist. Okay, bye-bye. Get some free coffee and then go. It doesn't have to be complicated. And you can, you have that account. If you want to get a virtual address with them, or if you want to get a lease or whatever, you have that free account, you can use that office building on Google My Business. Trust me, that's how people find you. They find you on Google My Business. They find you on Google. Okay. So there, you heard it from me. Make your life easier. All right, I'm gonna close it out in just a second. But do y'all have any final questions for me? I appreciate y'all coming on. I had so many people sign up, and y'all actually follow through. I love it. But of course, this is recorded. I'm gonna push it out. I'm gonna put it on YouTube, and I'm gonna put it out to everybody so they can see it. Okay. So do y'all have any other questions or concerns? Okay, you just shared the fee schedule. Let's see what you're talking. Let's see. Yeah, GPS ordinance looks about right. Yeah, they're charging you higher for standard trio. They're charging you $14 more. Sperm detection 95. And then what's the comparison? Do you have a second sheet, Zariah? There should be a second sheet that says DNA comparison, unless I'm overlooking it. Okay, we'll discuss in the chat. That's fine. Hey, look, for y'all watching the webinar, check it out. Paternity University is something extremely valuable. This is an industry that is not very well known. This is the only course that exists for this type of information. As you can see, I gave a lot of value. So if you think it's valuable, get the course, Paternity University. Go to paternityuniversity.com. You can get the course. It's well worth the money. These two ladies that joined on the call, when they finally get their first test, and they will, they're basically going to make their money back triple or quadruple, okay, on their first test. And then it's on from there. All right. So definitely check it out, paternityuniversity.com. You can get the course. It is well worth your money. And we are building a community, especially in the Slack channel. It is great to see people growing and starting a business and doing it right. You can make a lot of money and you can help change people's lives by giving them the clarity that they needed. So thank you all. Thank you, Zariah. Thank you, Sheila, for coming on. Really appreciate it. Thank y'all. Thank you. Thank you. I'll be doing these much more, probably bi-weekly or so, to give more information. So y'all have a good night. Thank y'all so much and be safe out there, okay? And everybody that is watching this webinar later, definitely tune in and check out the course, okay? Y'all have a good night.